So now let's talk about the draft feature. Now we use draft features for parts which are created with plastic injection molding or die casting. Now using draft we can add slight taper angles to the faces of our part, and these taper angles actually help us in removing the part from the mold or the die. So here I have this small Lego brick, and on the faces of these Lego bricks I'm just going to add the draft angle now. Now if you look at this brick from the top right now, we just don't have any kind of angle here. It is perfectly vertical. These lines are at 90 degrees, so well, nothing fancy here. Now let's go to this draft tool, and I'm going to start adding the draft. But first I'll select one of the two options here. So right now, as you can see, we have two options here, manual and draft expert. So select manual, and then in the manual option we have three different kind of drafts. So we have neutral plane, parting line, and step draft. We'll talk about all the three, but for now let's select neutral plane. All right, now select the neutral plane, and neutral plane will be the plane that's going to decide the direction of pull. So in this case I'll select this as the neutral plane, and as soon as you select this, SolidWorks will assign a direction of pull, which will be this arrow. So the direction of pull is actually the direction in which your mold or your die will move to kind of remove the part from it. So in this case the mold will move in this direction, the part will be removed here, and if you want to reverse it, you can just click this and that's going to reverse. So now the mold will move here, and so the part will move in opposite direction. So that's the direction of pull. All right, so with that, now let's select the angle. Now this draft angle will also depend on the material which you are making, the shape of part, and a lot of other factors as well. Usually the draft is between 2 to 5 degrees angle, and in this example I'm using a 3-degree angle. So I'll just keep 3 degrees selected. Now select the faces which you want to draft. So in this case I'll select the face here, first, second, third, and the fourth face here. All these faces are selected, and with that we can now create the draft. So let's click OK, and we have the draft. Now if you look at this part from the top, you can clearly see the draft angle, and now it is no longer perpendicular. It is at an angle of 3 degrees. There is a small angle added, and that's the draft angle. Now if you are wondering how it will help in removing this part from the mold, then for that I have created a mold as well. So I'll go to this combine feature and I'll make it visible. All right, so this is the kind of mold which I've created. Now let's create a section view here. Okay, and also if the section view is not clearly visible, make sure this keep cap color is unchecked, this option in the section options, and with that you can clearly see what's going on inside. So this is our part and this is our mold. Now with this draft angle, if this mold moves in this direction, it will be a lot easier to kind of remove this part because of this gradual decrease in the angle. Now if it is other way around, it will be kind of impossible to remove the part if it moves in this direction, and with the straight lines you can remove it, but it won't remove it quite easily. It will stick to the walls of this mold. So that's why we usually add these smaller draft angles. All right, now we have a problem actually with this draft here, so I'm just going to hide this one and then I'll highlight that problem. All right, now we have added draft on all these faces, but we ignored these faces completely. And if you have parts like this, then try not ignoring these kind of faces, because if you are adding draft here, it is better if you add it here as well. So to add draft to these faces, we just need to change our neutral plane. So I'll go to this draft and I'll select edit feature. And here I'm just going to select this neutral plane option, and I'll change my neutral plane to this one on the top. Now with that selected, I can add more faces here. So 4 of these faces are selected. So let's add these 4 faces as well. So once you've selected this neutral plane, all the drafts will be added underneath this plane. So from this plane all the way downwards, it's going to add a 3-degree draft. All right, so with that I'll click OK, and we now have a draft added here as well. So you can see the draft here as well. So that's how basically we can add a simple draft. Now there are options of adding this same kind of draft with advanced control, and for that once again I'll go to this draft feature and edit it. Now there are some advanced controls available for creating draft, and for that I'll go to this draft feature and I'll just delete it. Now I'll go to this draft again and here I'll select Draft Expert. Now using this Draft Expert, you'll have a visual reference of where this draft is being created, and you can just see the changes in the real time. So the first thing is add the angle. So we have selected that angle. Now select the neutral plane, and then you can select the faces. But before you do that, you can now see what's going on here. So you can see the draft angle. You can also see where we have 0-degree angle, and actually this will range between 0 to 3 degrees. Whatever the angle you have is specified, that will be the range. So 0 to 3 degree, it's just changing. All right, so with that, let's now select our planes. So if you select this plane, this, and this, now SolidWorks will add a draft on these faces, and if you click apply, it will just add the draft here. Now after applying the draft, you can again apply it to all the other faces. So we have applied it, and now we can again apply it to all these other faces. So let's do that again. So I'll now select these faces, and again I'm just going to click apply. And now we have applied the draft again, but in the second step. And as soon as we apply the draft, the color will change, which shows this. So here you can clearly see that now the draft is at this color. Now if however you change this, if you change the direction of pull, the color will change completely. And why is that? Well, because of the negative draft. Now the draft is created in opposite direction, and hence it is a negative draft. And in the previous example it was just positive draft, so only the direction has reversed. Now negative and positive draft does not mean that the first one is better and the second one is just bad. It's not like that. It just depends on the direction of pull. Whichever is the correct direction of pull, depending on that you can select the draft face. In this case I will ensure that the direction of pull is upwards. So with that we'll have a positive draft here, which is kind of better for this example. Now whenever you are done with this, just click OK, and this is our draft. Now in this case, instead of just one single draft, we ended up with 2 drafts here in the feature tree. So as you can see, we have draft 5 for the drafts of these features, and then we have draft 6 for all of these features here. So that's how you can add draft with the Draft Expert feature as well.